Hey everyone, this is Empress Pamela. Welcome to this video. This is a video that I've been postponing for a long time. What you're looking at is one of my recent sacred geometry creations. It's really something that I wasn't even going to finish because, as you can tell, there's a lot of not mistakes. It's just not very definite. It's not refined. There's a lot of fluidity. It's not as clear and precise as my previous ones. It's got some haphazard type of energy. Some color placements don't even make sense, but it almost is reflective of my relationship with my father. So I've planned this video for a long time. I don't have a script. I knew I was going to just focus on this particular mandala. When you look at a mandala, you're supposed to focus on that during meditation, and it's supposed to help you. Mandalas are supposed to help you focus during meditation. But anyway, so I'm going to call this video Daddy Issues, and I knew I was going to post it on Father's Day, June 20th, 2021. So I knew that for months I've been planning this. And I was going to speak of my relationship with my father and my wounds. I have serious childhood father wounds. They basically cover feelings of unworthiness, unlovableness, rejection, kind of abandonment, I guess, and feelings of not being good enough, not measuring up, not feeling loved from my father. So I have some very deep wounds that I've been healing over the last couple of years, but I think this is one of my main wounds, childhood wounds, wounded inner child, however you want to say it. I've been struggling this my whole life as I stutter over my words. But it's it's been one of my core wounds, and I've put a lot of time and energy and crying, tears, you name it. I've been through it when it comes to my father. It's kind of, I guess, obviously it's part of the divine plan, but approximately, let's say a little bit within the month after my father passed away, I met my catalyst twin flame, the one that woke me up, opened my heart chakra to spiritual awakening, to a higher love, to divine love. And when that happens, when your energetic body, your heart chakra opens, you experience divine love. And then what happens is all the wounds, all the bad stuff, all the things that you've been pushing down and hiding your entire life start coming up, and you have to deal with your life. And you go through the dark night of the soul, and you want to kill yourself, and you want to, you don't love yourself, and why don't you love yourself, and why were you ever born, and all these huge questions come up. And then you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, the puzzle which is your life, which is your path. So I'm going on and on. This is going to be a long video, but you can listen to it or not. It's just me sharing my story and how I healed this huge wound in my life. So, brief overview and this is all my perception. So, my brother had a different relationship and different perspective, and any other people that knew my father would also have their own opinions, right? But my experience is my experience, and I will validate it because that's how I interpret my relationship. So I come to find out, and I didn't know this at the time, but the first psychic medium that I spoke to, who confirmed my twin flame connection, also talked about my wounding, my primary wound from my father. So I have daddy issues, she even told me. And she wanted me to spend time researching narcissism. So basically, after doing that a couple of years ago and really trying to understand who my father was and how the actions that I've taken upon myself throughout my life and as an adult and as a parent to two beautiful, amazing boys who are now young men, I took on some of those narcissistic traits. So my father was a narcissist. He was an alcoholic. He was had a lot of addictive behaviors. And I basically went through a lot of wounding as a child. So when you have a parent who's out of control and is addicted, you take on a lot of control issues because your life is so out of control. And the people who you look up to, who you hope would love you and keep you safe, they're out of control. So then you start trying to control your environment. And I took on that behavior even through my own parenting. And the difference is I recognize that, I've learned about it, and I've asked for forgiveness from my children, and I've forgiven myself because I knew not what I was doing. And I came to also the realization throughout my healing that my father was wounded and he knew not what he did. And so he was a wounded person, and the way that he operated in the world was from a place of being a hurt person as well. So that's how I was able to forgive a lot of the chaos and trauma that I was raised with and raised in and exposed to. So it took a long time for me to forgive and to realize that. And that's part of the journey, is understanding that, at the base of life is love, unconditional love for yourself and for others, and forgiveness, because that whole saying about hurt people, well, there's some truth to that. So all these years, I blamed my father for whatever, my inadequacies, my lack of success, even though I knew I had all the tools like intelligence and whatever. I had all the tools, but for some reason I was unable to be successful, and then I felt unworthy, and it's just a cycle. And so recently I was helping my mom clean out her papers, and I don't know, I found this paper. It just comes out of the blue. It's a essay. I believe this was the essay that my father had helped me write when I was doing college applications way back when. And yeah, I asked him for help writing, and he was a very smart man. He was, what do you call it? The head of his class when he graduated, all this kind of stuff. But he also, he ended up not living to his true potential, let's just say. But he had all the tools, and he was well educated and always bragged about how great he was. Anyway, that was a thing. I never could measure up. My vocabulary could never measure up to him. But anyway, I come across this essay recently, and it was something that he wrote about me when I was trying to apply to colleges, and he came up with this. And I know it's supposed to be an essay that I wrote, but this is something that he wrote about me, and it helped me open my heart to understanding that he was probably the biggest teacher in my life, unknowingly at the time. And as I read this as a mature woman who's gone through a lot of spiritual growth and healing, I come to realize the value of such a traumatic relationship. And I want to share this with you to give you hope if you've had serious wounding from a parent who was supposed to love you unconditionally and protect you and all these things, and you felt maybe you were shortchanged or you didn't quite get that from the relationship. There was a reason for that, and it's part of your spiritual growth and healing. So this is what my father wrote back, let's say, 82 maybe? Yeah, a long time ago. I'm an old lady. But anyway, this is what he wrote about me. As a product of all my past associations and impressions, my present self-image, while still evolving toward maturation, reflects a recurrent theme: communication. Each of my interest areas, art, drama, language arts, including English and Spanish, psychology, fulcrums crucially upon messages of concepts which must be both transmitted effectively as well as perceived accurately. Consistent with my key aesthetic values, I recognize myself to be both romanticist and humanist. Yes, my ideals have been molded in a firm belief in the basic goodness of the human soul, which will triumph in spite of adversity or rampant travesty. I reject bitter cynicism. I repudiate the pessimism of despair. Instead, I embrace the ineffable contributions mankind is intrinsically capable of making to his own society. I find that I cherish most greatly the commodity of love. From this subtends my nearly inexhaustible needs for acceptance and security. While I am wary of excessive preoccupation with and hypersensitivity towards the perceptions and feelings of others, I do realize this embryonic liability can be developed with skill and training into a far greater asset: the ability to empathize and establish rapport. I find I have a facility for objective evaluation, for listening and observing, which will serve me well in determination of effective action. Realistically recognizing limitations both internal and opportunistically, I visualize in a half decade I would commence an entry-level career position in one of the aforementioned interest areas. While I ultimately aspire to self-actualizing in a varied, fulfilling career directed at enhancing people spiritually, aesthetically, emotionally, I intuitively appreciate the years of sweat and toil and fundamental personal change necessary to nurture my emerging gifts as well as inculcate confident competence in my quest for mastery of myself and attainment of all that destiny will permit for what potential I possess. My father, what a grand teacher. Thank you, and I love you.